Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 17 of my multi-cloud network architecture series, and in this episode we're talking all about day 2 operations with the Aviatrix cloud networking platform. What you need to understand is that cloud service providers and organizations that offer networking as a service provide little to no troubleshooting and reporting functionality and tools that you need to be effective in managing and operating your cloud network. Just imagine going into battle without your armor, without your weapons. That's exactly what you're doing by putting your production workloads in the cloud and having no functionality or tools for day 2 operations. Are you a network architect or a network engineer or a cloud architect or a CISO or a CIO or anybody that has anything to do with the cloud for your organization? If so, you need to listen up, because it only takes one major production outage for you to lose your credibility within your organization. One outage where you can't provide an answer as to why things were not working because you didn't have the right functionality or tools to get your post-mortem completed, to find the answer as to why things were not working the way they should have been. This is a really important video for you guys to listen to, so let's get started. Let's start with the basics. In the Aviatrix UI, you have a dashboard map, and this dashboard map provides you a visual of all the intra and inter-cloud peering relationships that you've built out in your multi-cloud network architecture. We can see what peerings are up, what peerings are down, the health status. But what's more powerful is that you can hover over your gateways and you can see what the real-time latency status is of these. So let's go hover over a gateway over here, and we can see that my West Transit gateway connected to all these other gateways that build these peerings are reporting back latency. So now we can see the actual latency end-to-end within your cloud network. Why does this matter to you? Well, just imagine that you get a call that your applications are performing poorly. One place you can quickly check to see if it's an issue with the network is here. You can quickly go and ensure that all your peering relationships are within the proper spec for latency for your application to run correctly. That's one validation you can do to make sure it's not the network causing the problem. Let's dive a little bit deeper now. Under the troubleshooting section of the UI, click Diagnostics, and you'll be brought to a page where you can run a bunch of network connectivity tests. Remember, we've built out a multi-cloud network architecture and a Aviatrix normalized data plane, leveraging the Aviatrix gateways in really strategic places in the network. So now we have the power to run network connectivity for pretty much anywhere in the network. We can do things like traceroute, ping, and tracepath. We all know what traceroute is in ping, but you may not know what tracepath is. Tracepath gives us the end-to-end MTU check, which is really important in networking. So let's test it out. Let's pick a gateway. I'll just pick my workload gateway in the West. We'll pick an interface. Actually, we'll let it pick the interface automatically. And we can run tests to the internet and to anything internal in the network. So let's run a test to the internet. We'll do a traceroute to that. Great. We know we can reach the internet from that gateway. Now that gateway is in a specific VPC where other workloads live, so you can leverage this to test really your workload connectivity. Let's do a ping to the same thing and see what that shows. There we go, there's your ping, 0 packet loss. We'll do a trace path though to something internal. I think I have 10404, which is in Azure. We'll go cross cloud and see what we can get. Oh, that was quick. So you can see now the MTU end-to-end, the latency. Quite nice. Do you see the value in this? Before you had Aviatrix, if you were just doing native cloud networking, you wouldn't have this functionality, especially as a network guy in the cloud. A lot of times you don't have your own workloads in these VPCs where you can use as test points. The app guys don't want to give you access to their apps to do this type of testing on. Now you have the power to do it on your own. Over to the right here, we have a network connectivity utility that allows us to go a little bit deeper. We can actually now pick the port and protocol to test for connectivity. And we can also source it from the controller or any gateway in your network. Let's try that out. Let's do the same IP 10.4.0.4. Let's just say port 443, and let's do it from the controller. That's perfectly fine, and TCP. This shouldn't work because I don't think I have this open. Let's see what happens. Bam. Unable to reach 10404 at 443 from the controller. Pretty cool, right? So now you can specify custom ports and protocols to test that connectivity. When we scroll down a little bit, we discovered that there's packet capture capabilities in this platform. Now, this is a powerful tool. All of us networking people have been using this for years on-prem to quickly rule out networking problems or just to get more information about what packets are crossing my network. So let's try it out. I know I have some traffic happening in my Azure environment, so I'm going to pick my Azure gateway right here, and I'll pick the Ethernet 0 interface. I know I have traffic crossing the interface, and I'll leave these other filters alone for now. You could create filters if you wanted to. So let's run a ping over there, and we're going to start the packet cap, and in a moment you should start to see all that data fill in this box. You can see the packet cap in real time. There it is. There is all the packets crossing that ETH0 interface in that VNet. Now we can also download that packet cap file so you can throw it into Wireshark. Click download and bam, there it is. Do you realize how important it is to have a tool like this in the cloud? You can't be running your cloud network with your hands tied. You don't have this functionality in native cloud networking. And I know myself as a network architect or as a network engineer or as an operations guy or gal, there's no way I want to manage a network where my hands are tied. Let's scroll down further and see what else we have. Here we have additional utilities for connectivity testing. You can run connectivity tests from the controller. You can migrate your IP to a new IP if you wanted to change your elastic IP of the controller. You can enable remote support so that our support engineers can get into your controller to do testing on it, and you can see your current public IP. So let's go over to the Gateway tab and see what we have there. Under the Gateway section, we're presented with a bunch of tools and utilities to check the health of the gateways across your multi-cloud network architecture. Remember, you're building your own data plane now. You're taking control of the network now. So we're never going to leave you in the dark. We're always going to provide all the visibility into the data plane and not hide a single thing from you. We're not a black box solution. There are other solutions out there that offer networking as a service, and they're a black box. You give them your packet, you have lost your visibility, you have lost your control. We definitely don't do that. We want our users to have full visibility into the data plane that they're trusting. So in this case, we can run diagnostics on any gateway in your network. So let's do that. Pick a gateway, click run, and then we click show. And we can see the results of the diagnostics. You can take these diagnostics and use them yourself if you know how to read them. It's actually pretty straightforward. It does a poll on pretty much anything to do with that gateway and its health. And then you can also submit that directly to Aviatrix if you want a support case. This is powerful because now you can figure out exactly what's happening in your data plane. As I mentioned before, network as a service solutions do not provide this information to you. Cloud service providers definitely don't provide you information about the data plane. They hide all of that from you. So if there's an outage, you really have no idea why there was an outage or how to avoid it or what the root cause was. They will never give you that visibility. We have some other tools in here, like if you want to migrate your gateway to a new elastic IP, you can do that from right here. If you want to upgrade a particular gateway and force its upgrade, you can do that from here. If you want to replace a gateway without causing an outage, you can do that. You can reset services on gateways. Pretty much anything you need to do from the gateway perspective can happen from the Gateway tab. Let's go over to the Cloud tab. Over here, we can run tests and diagnostics and audits against our native cloud constructs to pull a bunch of data to ensure that things are configured as designed. And so let's pick the cloud type of AWS, the account name of Aviatrix. This is my default account. I have a region here that I have a VPC in. Let's just pick the East Workloads VPC. Let's hit run. All right, here are the results. It's going to provide an output of the details of all the native cloud configurations. So you can see the VPC ID, all the tags, you can see the DHCP options, the CIDR blocks, the subnets, the availability zones. You can even see the routes that are configured in every route table, the associations of subnets to route tables. Pretty much anything to do with networking and tagging within that VPC is going to show up here. So it's a quick way to pull all that data and parse through it to find what you need. Security groups are also in here. NACLs are in here. Pretty cool feature. When we scroll down further, you can see we have Azure VNet route diagnostics as well. So if you want to do displaying of all the route tables in Azure for a certain VNet, or delete a route, or turn things on and off, you don't have to log into the Azure console. You can do a lot of it from here. Pretty self-explanatory. The last thing I want to show you in this section is a network validation tool. I find this really interesting and useful. What this allows you to do is spin up gateways just for connectivity testing purposes and then spin them down once they're done their testing. Why is this useful? Well, as a network operator, you may not have access to spin up target workloads in your source and destination networks to do this connectivity tests. But if you're the Aviatrix operator, you could leverage the controller to spin up gateways in each network and run a test and then spin them down once they're done. So let's try that out. So I'm going to do my Virginia region. Let's just pick an east workload. Let's go to the west region, west workload. So if my west region, I think I have a west workload in here. Where are you, west workload? There you are. Let's run a connectivity test. So what it's going to do is spin up a gateway in each of those networks, run a test, provide a report, and then spin them down. And we're done. There you can see that it ran a test and the connectivity result was good connection. That's sometimes all you need to make sure that end-to-end connectivity is working correctly. Now I want to show you one of my most favorite features for troubleshooting and day 2 operations built into Aviatrix platform, and it's called flight path. So under networking, we click flight path and it presents you this screen. Our controller keeps track of and audits and understands every single cloud native networking construct across all the clouds we support. It understands where they've been deployed. It understands the configuration of those constructs. On top of that, the controller knows how it programmed the gateways that are in the path of traffic. So what does this mean? Well, it means that we can leverage the intelligence of the controller to tell us where network connectivity issues might exist. So let's run a test. It's pretty straightforward. We have a source, we have a destination section to fill out. So I'm going to make this interesting. We're going to run this test across clouds, not just within the same cloud. We're going to run this test from AWS to Azure. So on the source, we'll pick my, it's fine, we'll pick my east workloads VPC. We'll query the resources over there. Let's see what we have as a testing point. I think I have a nice testing point. Yeah, we have a workload that we can run a test from there. And then we'll also go to Azure, and I have in my central region, I have some stuff. So let's go to central US. And I think I have a workload over there. Yep, I do. So let's query the resources. Let's pick this guy over here. So we're going to run a test from this workload to that workload across clouds. You scroll down a little bit, and we can run this test against the public or the private side. We'll do private, and we'll run it across port 443 protocol TCP. Click flight path test. You wait a second, and in no time, it's going to pop up a report. And there we go. Look at this beautiful report. This always blows my mind every time I run it and every time I demo it to a customer. I just think it's so cool because of how much time it would save you if you were troubleshooting a problem or a connectivity issue. So you can see here on the source side, it checked the security groups in that VPC. You can see it hit this entry in the security group. It checked the route table, it hit this route, and the next hop was an ENI of one of our gateways because it's running over the Aviatrix normalized data plane. It checked the network ACL, and that was good. It checked the Aviatrix spoke gateway routing table, and that was good. It checked the Aviatrix transit gateway routing table, and that was good. It even tells you what route it hits in the next hop. And then it went over to the destination, and you can see here it failed. It failed on the security group for that destination VPC. But it didn't just stop there. It checked everything else as well, the route tables on that side, just so you know that everything else was good. Okay, so if we scroll down a little further, you can see that it could not find a rule in the inbound security group of the destination to allow 10.2.207.213. That was my source. Now imagine trying to do this troubleshooting by hand. You would have multiple windows open, different consoles. You'd be looking at different constructs within each cloud. Each construct works differently. Each cloud works differently. Let the controller tell you exactly where the problem exists. It will save you so much time. I just love this feature, and I always play with it on my own because it's so useful. Let's move on to Aviatrix CoPilot. If you haven't heard of CoPilot, it's our analytics and deep flow visualization platform that sits next to the controller and ingests data from the gateways in the controller to provide easily digestible outputs for network operators. Let's start with the dashboard. The dashboard gives you a high-level view of your entire multi-cloud network architecture and its health status. You can see how many gateways you have deployed, what those gateways are, what TGWs you have deployed, what BGP connections are up or down, the site-to-cloud VPN connections, how many VPN users are currently active in the cloud. You can select anything in here. It's interactive to give you more information about it. If we scroll down, you can see how many virtual data centers are deployed and where they're deployed, what kind of virtual data centers are deployed. We give you a little geographic map of the deployment model, and then you can start to see how your gateways are deployed and how they're being leveraged, which clouds they're deployed in, what type of gateways are deployed, the regions they're deployed in, the size of these gateways. And then we can also provide you the aggregate data being pushed across your multi-cloud network architecture. That's the dashboard. But what's cooler is topology. This is such an awesome feature. If you came from the on-prem networking world, you know what a Visio diagram is or a Lucid chart. You use those for troubleshooting. You use those to know how your network looks. The thing about cloud networking is that it's so dynamic. It's ever changing. And so it's hard to have a single topology that you can reference to do your troubleshooting with. Aviatrix CoPilot will dynamically map in real time your cloud networking topology. You can see here in my demo lab, which is kind of a mess, I have two AWS regions, a west and an east. I have a GCP environment and I have an Azure environment, and it shows you how they're all connected. I have my multi-cloud network architecture, my normalized data plane from Aviatrix, connecting them all together. You can see all the gateways here, these orange things, if I can scroll in properly. And if I click on anything in here, it provides the metadata from that particular cloud service provider and for that particular construct in a simple, digestible fashion. So you can see here I clicked this particular gateway, and I can see the gateway name, where it's deployed, the region it's deployed in, the IP address information, the VPC or the instance size, I should say, DNS information, anything you want to show that's metadata, it'll pull that. Okay, you can click a subnet, get information about the subnet. You can click a particular GCP construct and get the information from GCP, and all this stuff is indexed and searchable. So you can search whatever you want here. I can search AWS. It's going to show me some AWS stuff. I can search Azure. Well, that is, yeah, Azure. There you can see it highlighted some Azure stuff. All right. This is a regular expression in here. You can put whatever you want. But let's take this a step further. I can select anything in here. Let's say I select that guy and I select this guy over here and this guy and that guy. Okay. And I want to name that something. Like that's my credit card data information environment or something. So let's give it a tag. So I'm going to tag it as credit. Okay, add credit as a tag, click add. Now, if I were to pop into here and say, well, I'm curious what my credit card data environment looks like, I can just type credit. You can see now it's highlighted, this give you a little like halo highlight around those constructs that I selected earlier. Okay, pretty cool. Now you can click filter and it'll actually filter out just those constructs on the topology map here so you can pinpoint what things are tagged as credit. We can also move things around to build our own topology. Now by default, physics are enabled, so it will kind of do things for you. It's kind of fun to play with actually. But if you disable physics, we can actually build our own topology. You can move things around like in a Visio diagram, and it will pull new constructs and put them on here for you so you can remap them. And then you can save that as a custom layout. And then you can load that custom layout whenever you want. We can also see the instances that are deployed in these different environments. So if you're curious what workloads live behind certain subnets or certain cloud environments, you can do that as well. So you can see I have some, what is this, a West VPC workload, it's a PC over there. I have Panorama, which is Palo Alto's management software, sitting over here. So it's pretty cool, you can do that, and you can also get information from that. The next thing I want to show you is that you can leverage this topology for visual troubleshooting. I can click any gateway here, for example, and click the diag button, and I can do a ping and a trace route from here. So now you can use this for visual troubleshooting. I say I'm curious if this gateway can get to this environment over here where this gateway lives. Okay, well just click that gateway, click diag, and put whatever IP address you want. It could be an instance, it could be a gateway, I don't care what it is, it's just a destination. You can do trace route as well, and in the future we're going to add packet cap to here, and we may add iPerf so you can do performance testing, that would be cool. And anything we add to the future of diagnostics will come into this section of the CoPilot UI. The last thing I want to show you here in topology is that we can click any peering, whether it's a spoke to transit or transit to transit, cross cloud, within the same cloud, doesn't matter. And we can start latency monitors. So let's click that, let's start a latency monitor there. Let's check latency here. Let's check another latency over here. All right, so if you go to latency monitor, it starts to map those out here for you. Now this is really nice. As I mentioned before, in the Aviatrix UI, you can leverage latency outputs to quickly troubleshoot networking problems intra-cloud and inter-cloud. In the near future, we're going to add threshold crossing announcements, so you could select a particular threshold and say, you know what, I want to be alerted if the latency goes above X amount. Great, you can set that and it will alert you. The next thing I want to show you is our flow analytics section. Since you're using an Aviatrix data plane, you're able to see all the nitty-gritty details about flows going across your cloud network. Without the Aviatrix CoPilot solution, you have very little visibility from the perspective of flows provided by your cloud service providers. Very little. Almost to the point where it's pretty useless what they're providing you. Aviatrix will provide you absolutely everything. All the data you're used to seeing on-prem, you can now see in the cloud. Source IPs, destination IPs, ports and protocols, types of service, autonomous systems, down to the TCP flag information. Everything in here is interactive. We can create custom filters. Check this out. If I click this IP, it will then filter everything downstream based on that source IP. So who's that guy talking to? Well, he's talking to these IPs on these ports. And here's how much data he's pushing across. Pretty powerful. You can create complex filters. We have 80 different things you can filter off of, right? You can keep adding more and more filters if you wanted to get down to a specific flow. But remember I talked about tags in the topology section? Those tags carry over to this as well. So let's filter based off a tag. Remember we created the credit tag? Those constructs? So let's clear our existing tag. Let's clear our existing one and create a new tag. Let's say source, netflow source. And I filter on tag, click credit, add selected filter. Now you can see everything below has been filtered based off that tag. So anything that was going across those constructs that I tagged will show up here. This is so cool because now you can get information based off environments that you've custom tagged in your cloud network. Nobody can do this. This is our functionality and it's so powerful. Customers absolutely love this feature. Of course, everything is historical. You can save information for months and months. You can go back in time and see what happened last week, last month, etc. Custom periods of time. Now, if you're a networking guy, you would understand the Trends tab. This is networking trends, top talkers, throughput, source IPs, destination IPs. Everything in here, again, is interactive. Click anything and it becomes a custom filter. All right? You can see total bandwidth being used across your cloud. I love it. The next tab is geolocation. If your organization does a lot with public connectivity, SaaS maybe for example, you can start to see who's talking to your cloud workloads. Who are your cloud workloads talking to? We'll give you this heat map. The denser the section on the map, the more data is being pushed in that region or that part of the world. The other day, it was kind of funny. I was looking at my demo cloud and I noticed that China was talking to my demo cloud. I don't have any communication going with China, not by design anyways. Turned out that somebody in China was port scanning my lab to find vulnerabilities. Of course, they didn't get in, but they were port scanning and I could figure that out pretty quickly using this as a security correlation tool. It'll tell you the countries, the cities, what destination ports and protocols and IPs they're talking to or they're coming from. Really a interesting solution. If you want to get even more details, we can go to the flow section and we can create custom filters here, but we have something called a Sankey chart, which gives you a nice view of who's talking to who during that period of time that you selected and how much data are they pushing. So you can see a source might be talking to multiple destinations. This source right here is talking to multiple destinations. If you click that, you can get more details. I won't show you that right now. It's not worth the time, but you can go and play with this on your own. Now, if you want to go deeper, you can see the raw records as well. We're pulling that and aggregating all that data as well. 80 different columns you can filter on, add and remove to get the nitty-gritty details about the flows happening across your multi-cloud network. This visibility is unparalleled in the industry. Nobody can hold a candle to this functionality that we provide in CoPilot. I'm sure if you are a network architect, a cloud architect, you realize the power that CoPilot is bringing to your cloud network that doesn't exist today. The last thing I can show you is the performance section. We can see the free memory, the CPU utilization, the transfer rate, the disk utilization. Of across every gateway in your multi-cloud network architecture. And that's CoPilot. As always, I want to talk about what Aviatrix did for us in this scenario, and it's pretty straightforward, right? Aviatrix cloud networking platform provided troubleshooting tools that just do not exist in the cloud today. Tools and utilities that you've leveraged for years on-prem to be an effective architect or network engineer to make sure that your organization operates properly. Now in the cloud, you get all that functionality back. Aviatrix is providing unparalleled visibility into your multi-cloud network, whether it's from a health status perspective, a latency perspective, topology perspective, flow analytics perspective. It gives you everything you need to be confident that you're able to perform your job properly. Listen, you don't just take all your workloads that's running your business, that's making the business bring in money, and throw it into the cloud with zero visibility, with blinders on. You think that's smart? Absolutely not. You need enterprise level visibility and day-to operation functionality to be effective, to be secure, and to ensure that you have a job tomorrow. No, but realistically, this is not a joke. You guys need to realize that you have to have the proper tools on your tool belt so that you can do day-to operations, so that you can do post-mortem, that you can troubleshoot problems effectively and efficiently. The truth of the matter is that cloud service providers or organizations that provide networking as a service are black boxes. You're putting all your trust into something you have zero control over, zero visibility. Take control of your network. Take it back. Use the Aviatrix networking platform to get everything you had on-prem now in the cloud. I promise you, you will not regret it. Thank you guys for watching. I can't wait for the next video. I'll see you next time.